What's up, everybody? I'm Sacha. This is Johnny.
He's always stealing my intros.
You're always still in the end. You're always still in the end.
Well, I got the end today.
No, you take this.
No, it's too late. Go. Finish.
You take...
Finish what you started. Go.
What's up, everybody? I'm Sacha. This is Whiny. Welcome to our vlog this week.
This week, we're showing you the best footage that we shot last week.
I let one slip. It's true, you assholes.
And we talk about how horrible our Sonys are. I'll be honest with you, I've got a lot of cons.
That's all this week. We are Miracle Mountain.
And this is our vlog.
What's up, everybody? I'm Sacha. This is Johnny. We did not shoot much last week, so we're making up for it with a long, boring tech review.
I have right here Canon A7S II.
I have a Sony A6500.
And today we are shooting on
a Canon T2i.
The only thing that we don't like about it is the fact that we gotta run audio through an H4n.
Not touched, not graded, not sharpened. That's what it looks like coming out of the body. 10 years later.
So, let's start off with, I'm just going to run through some things, you're going to jump in.
Yeah.
Some of the cons.
He made notes, I didn't.
There's a lot of cons. The first one, autofocus. Crap.
Yeah.
Horrible. Our record button is located on the back of the camera in the stupidest place ever. I have to reach my hand over to hit that button. That is not ideal. I want to be able to be here, hit record, shoot, hit record, turn it off. What I have done, and what you've done as well, is use a custom button for the record button, which is just crap because you're losing one of the 4 custom buttons to be a record button. Anyway, next. It's the settings. They change really easily, which is really frustrating.
That's true, yeah.
This wheel right here is the worst for it, and that will change my f-stop from like a 2.8 to like a 5.6. Next, color science, and you're going to probably want to talk about this.
So the color science thing, like white balancing the camera. You have to white balance this thing like crazy. If you really want to get the best out of these cameras, obviously, and that's true in general, like you want to have your white balance set. But with these cameras, I find like, I was talking about it to a guy today who does some really good coloring, shout out Aaron Porteous, and he was like agreeing with me that if you're off 1 iota, basically, and when you go in there to adjust your color balance, it's like a little bit one way and everything is everything is like magenta, a little bit the other way, everything is orange, a little bit the other way, everything is blue, a little bit the other way, everything is green. Like, it is ridiculous. It's so touchy, it's so sensitive. When you're off with the Sony, you're really off, and you're better off trusting the camera to get it somewhere in the range. These are his words, not mine. You're better off letting the camera do all the calculations and get it sort of vaguely in the area, because it's going to be closer than you would be looking at your little 3-inch monitor and hoping to God it's right. Because then he was like, you get into the color and you realize, oh my God, I was really wrong, and then you're really screwed. You know? Frustrating. Anyways, continue.
Next, setting up the cameras in SLog or Cine 4. SLog, you always, well, roughly you want to be about 2 stops over in your exposure, which is fine. But I mean, if you're at 0, if your exposure gets set at 0, it's just...
It's a Johnny show today.
It's crap. That's what people voted for.
It's true, you assholes.
So your exposure is two stops over. That's a problem. You know, if you're set it, it's a problem if you set it at 0. You know, if you just aren't checking or you're shooting something in one way and it's +2, shooting in the other way, you just change slightly and now you're at like -1 or 0. It's a huge difference when it comes to editing.
Yeah, if you're running and gunning, you really shouldn't be using SLog. It'll be a lot of work in the end in post. And then again, if it's dark and you have to boost it to get it to where you want to be, now when you're getting into the color grade, your picture's already boosted so much, you're gonna run into other problems. And then if your white balance is off, God forbid, you're into a whole nother set of problems. So
Cine 4, I mean, your exposure gets set to roughly 0 on Cine 4, but you know.
I find Cine 4 more forgiving because you can actually shoot under too. If you're a little bit dark, it's more salvageable. But anyway.
Grading the cameras is not easy. It's something that, you'll watch a video on YouTube. Like we've watched videos coming up to looking into buying and purchasing these cameras, and you'll see guys who will drop the footage, the native footage that they've shot on SLog, onto the timeline. They'll put an adjustment layer over top. They'll add a LUT onto that adjustment layer, and the footage looks dope. And it's just like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, quick interjection here. I feel like we need to own the fact that we're not very good with these cameras. We're crap. And there are guys out there who are going to be like, yo, it's this, it's that, you got to do this, you got to do that, it's sick, it's fine, you guys suck. Agreed. But it shouldn't be that hard. To get to being artistic, you really have to understand like the technology, and for me, I'm not about that. I still use a paintbrush when I do my little comics. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to read all that. Next.
The overall button configuration, just Canon is way more user friendly, and I mean this isn't really like Canon versus Sony. This is more just our take, our experiences with Canon, and we just moved over to Sony's about 3 months ago. We used Canon for, even though it was a T2i, but probably about 10 years. But we've shot on many different kinds of Canons. It's not just the T2i. Like the menu system, setting your ISO, setting your exposure, doing all that stuff is where the problem comes in for me. It's just not quick. This is the worst one for me. The monitor and the viewfinder. So there's a setting in this camera that allows you to either set it to auto, set it to viewfinder, or set it to monitor. When I'm taking pictures, I normally will set it to auto so that I can look through my viewfinder, come out and look through the viewfinder, or look through the monitor. The problem with that is, if I move this ever so slightly, the monitor cuts out, and I have to look through the eyepiece. And it's like trying to get it back, you have to be so specific. It's just so frustrating. It's just so sensitive, the sensor. Yeah. Which is not needed. So every time I shoot video, I have to go back in and switch it to just monitor so that I'm not looking through my eyepiece. Super annoying. You want to add anything?
Yeah. You know what these cameras remind me of? It's like if you ever watch Top Gear and they do those like supercar things, and like there's one supercar they get in, they have to flip this switch and flip that switch, and then they gotta twist this, and they gotta adjust this, and then they gotta adjust that, and they gotta do that, and da-da-da, and da-da-da, and da-da-da, and then an hour later they're ready to go racing. And then, like, that'll be one of the guys, and then the other guy just brought, like, a Morgan from, like, 1945, and he just jumps in and starts ripping around and enjoying himself and having fun, and the frame is made out of wood. Like, that is these. These are the first one. These are just these incredible machines, but it's like, man, you can leave some of that stuff out, make that experience, that user experience a little bit more pleasurable.
The peaking isn't accurate when you're setting your focus. Super annoying. For those who don't know what peaking is, it's basically we have a color. You have a color, and that color that shows you where your focus is set. So someone could be completely red, and your focus will still be soft. Super annoying. Yeah. But that's just Sony.
It is really annoying to be relying on the camera. You're relying on the technology for something, and it doesn't actually come all the way as far as you need it to be. But I can't wait to get into the pros. He's covering all the cons. I got the pros. Man. I got some pros.
You got 3.5.
Okay,
3.5 minutes.
So I'm going to try to be as quick as I can. I love how discreet this thing is. It's super small. The form factor, it's light. If you're running around, gunning, you're out in public, it's not going to be something that people are going to be like, whoa, look at that guy over there with that massive camera. I love the price point. I got this for $1,500 online. That is ridiculous. What you get a histogram, you get peaking, even though it doesn't really work. You get SLog, you get Cine 4, you have 14 stops of dynamic range. The microphone, shotgun mic goes right in here, and you can see all of that on it. That stuff I love, and you cannot get that. To get all of that stuff out of a Canon. It also shoots 4K, it shoots 120 frames a second as well in camera. 5-axis image stabilization, on and on and on and on and on. All the customizability, all that stuff is incredible. And to get that equivalent out of a Canon, you're looking at $2,000 plus, easily. Another thing, before we get back to these. Like, the way that they connect the strap, it's so noisy. It's like a key ring. It's ridiculous. There's no way your microphone isn't picking that up. What the heck? Next, you.
Wi-Fi, you're being able to send pictures from this camera directly to my phone and editing them in Lightroom if we are in the field, if we were doing some shooting, but we need to get something up on Instagram. Really good. Shooting in low light on the A7S II is just beastly. The one thing I found shooting indoors, we were shooting a car recently, shooting in Cine 4, so our exposure was set to 0, but you know, we pushed it. We pushed it to actually about +2, and that's when this thing actually really shone. So the ISO was ridiculously high, like stupid high.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But it came out like so clean. I like the ability to capture in slow motion and time lapse if it's needed, depending on what you're shooting. And the last thing I will say is the cropping ability. This is a full frame sensor, so we're actually able to put crop lenses on here and use them.
All in all, would you recommend it? I would. I would. Would you?
I don't know if I would. I'm not. If it was down to Canon versus Sony, I would tell you to get a Canon in a second.
Yeah, I would.
Like, I wouldn't. And I would probably say, for what we do right now, we don't need 4K. We don't need any of this stuff. Like, shooting on a 70D, we're out of time now. But shooting on a 70D is great. It's going to look sharp. You're going to get everything you need. It's just 60 frames a second rather than 120. That's only if you need it.
But there are things about being able to shoot 4K. Like, it is an option that we can provide a client. We can shoot for a cinema screen, right? You can't do that with anything other than a 1DX, essentially, or a 5D.
Wow.
The new 5D, but you're still spending $4,000. So this is the other thing, right? You're spending so much for that, essentially for the Canon look. And I think with this, you can replicate it. We haven't gotten 100% there yet, but it can be done. And, you know, $1,500, man, you get way more. The equivalent out of a Canon, it's just not worth it. You don't get as much as you get with this. And for that reason, I would say, man, it's worth it if you have the patience.
I would agree with that. Yeah, but you have to be at a certain level to be able to run the Sony.
Yeah.
It's not just something that you can just grab. Look at Casey Neistat, got one for his vlog a while back, and first time he went out the shot, it looked like crap.
These cameras remind me a lot of shooting on actual film. The amount of attention to detail you need, and
have a good weekend.
The amount of
I'm just kidding.
I'm ignoring you at this point.
We're stopping though. I've given you 20 seconds and we're cutting.
The amount of attention to detail that you need, and like the things that you need to understand in order to get these things to work, you really need to understand like pretty classic sort of film techniques and stuff like that. And the better you understand those, the better picture you're gonna get out of these. And it wasn't until I started realizing that I started to feel like, oh, this camera is actually way better than I thought. So I still think this thing is better than I even.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But anyway.
Yeah, it's better than me.
Yeah, these cameras do. Yeah, they're way better than what we use them for, but it is what it is. Let us know. Tell us how you feel. We know we're gonna get hate. That's okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, you introed this, so have a good weekend.
Yeah.